Millionaire discovers touching dance between homeless boy and his disabled daughter. Amazing moment of emotion. Jake stepped into the sunlight, aching for a break from the endless grind of his high-rise corner office. He was a successful entrepreneur, yes, but that hefty bank account came with a heavy price: isolation. Pursuing more wealth left him feeling hollow. Today, he sought solace in the local park, where life thrived around him. Families laughed, kids played, and happiness danced freely through the air. As he wandered, a scene in the distance caught his eye. A boy, no older than 10, with wild, messy hair and a grin that could light up the gloomiest day, was spinning around in joyous abandon. Beside him danced Lily, his daughter, a sweet girl with big dreams locked inside a body that didn't always cooperate thanks to her cerebral palsy. Their laughter erupted, echoing through the park, and for a moment, it felt as though time had frozen. Jake's heart swelled. Here was his daughter, lost in the kind of effortless joy he hadn't seen in years. Timmy twirled, and Lily let out a giggle, a sound so pure it knocked the breath from his chest. It wasn't just a dance, it was a moment of pure magic, love, and connection, something he'd been missing for far too long. But the joy quickly faded as the voices of disapproval slipped into his mind. "Why are you talking to that street kid?" His friends' gazes would glare, echoing with disbelief. Linda, his wife, would worry about their finances, pressuring him to steer clear of Timmy. "He can't help us. We need stability." Torn, Jake felt the weight of their expectations crush the brief spark of life he'd felt. Days turned into weeks. Those stolen moments with Timmy became treasures he clung to. After office hours, he'd watched the magic unfold as Timmy ignited Lily's spirit. They invented games, tore up the park with laughter, and Jake began to feel hope, a feeling he thought had vanished. But then troubling news surfaced in their world. Plans rolled out to clean up the area. It was widely understood Timmy wouldn't stand a chance. And then, just like that, Timmy disappeared. One evening, returning from the office, Jake felt a gnawing panic wrap around his chest like a vice. Desperation seeped into his bones as he scoured the park, calling for him, but silence nestled in. The weight of reality crashed upon him. Should he have stood stronger against the forces tearing at their bond? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. Jake felt an urgent pull. Anger and fear brewed as community leaders debated Timmy's fate like he was a mere nuisance. In that furious moment, he resolved to fight. Stripped of the facades built by wealth and social status, he felt clarity water his heart. For the first time in years, it was about something bigger than him: true connection, love, and dignity. The stakes were high. As he prepared to confront the city leaders, Jake felt the tides of despair closing in. Could he rally his community to stand against prejudice? His heart raced, and with it, the flicker of hope, a stubborn flame refusing to die. Would he lose everything he cherished for a connection that transcended the barriers built around him? Jake sat on the edge of his bed that night, the darkness heavy around him. His mind raced, grappling with the choice ahead. He stared blankly at the wall, imagining Timmy's bright smile, the way he brought life into Lily's eyes. Could he really stand up for a boy society discarded? What if it cost him everything? Shaking off the uncertainty, Jake pulled out his phone. He scanned through the local news, hoping to find anything about Timmy. The park echoed with memories, and each article felt like a punch to his gut. There were plans to push the homeless away, to clean up the place that had become a home for so many. His heart sank deeper with each headline. This wasn't just about Timmy, it was about countless others who had no voice. The next day, he found himself pacing outside the city hall. The building loomed before him, a cold monument to policies made far removed from the heartbeats on the streets. Crowds gathered, murmuring among themselves, some holding signs. The air buzzed with chaos, anger, fear, hope. "Haven't you all seen what is happening?" A woman shouted, her voice threaded with fear. "They're not just getting rid of them. They're getting rid of us. Our community." Her words struck a chord. Jake stood taller, the weight on his shoulders lifting just a bit. He could see Lily moving through the crowd with a brave smile, just like Timmy had when they danced. He thought about how those moments had brought her so much joy, and how easily they could vanish if he didn't act. Taking a deep breath, he stepped to the microphone. Silence washed over the crowd as he began to speak. "This is about more than cleaning up a park," he said, his voice shaking. "It's about people. About lives that matter, regardless of how much money is in their pockets." The crowd swelled with cheers, a wave of energy moving through them. He felt their support, their shared desire for change, lending strength to his shaky voice. "Timmy is a part of our community. He made Lily smile when she felt small. He dances when we forget how. Let us not cast him aside." Someone shouted, "We are our brother's keepers." Jake's heart raced. He could see their faces brightening with hope, each person resonating with the call for change. The moment filled him with empowerment and a sense of connectedness he had longed for. This was the kind of community he had always yearned for, one that stood up for each other. As the meeting continued, Jake felt a strange mix of urgency and exhilaration in the air. But in the back of his mind, a pulsating fear remained. What would it take to ensure Timmy's safety? What would happen when the leaders met again and made their final decisions? Just then, a soft voice broke through the noise. It was Lily, standing at his side, a hopeful grin on her face. "Daddy, Timmy will see how brave you are, right?" The innocence in her eyes squeezed his heart. He looked down at her, determination swelling inside him. "Yes, sweet girl. We'll make sure of it." But even as he promised her that, he knew the battle was only beginning. Time ticked, decisions loomed, and he realized he had just scratched the surface of a fight far deeper than he understood. This was about uncovering the truth, winning hearts, and reaching in places he hadn't known existed. Jake held onto Lily's hand tightly, realizing nothing could prepare him for what lay ahead. With a determined breath, he whispered beneath the cacophony, ready for the challenges that loomed. But, would he be strong enough when the moment of truth arrived? The following day dawned bright and clear, but the sun's warmth did little to ease the weight in Jake's chest. The crowd from yesterday's meeting buzzed in his mind, with their cheers still echoing around him. He glanced over at Lily, still asleep in their small, cluttered living room, her little hand curled tightly around her favorite stuffed animal. He was grateful for her innocence, even as it reminded him of the stakes at play. Timmy deserved a chance, just like any other child. And yet, the fear gnawed at him. What if he failed? What if his words weren't enough? After a quick breakfast, Jake grabbed his jacket. The city hall meeting was only the beginning. He felt a pull to do more, to reach out to others who might feel just as he did. So he set out on foot to the library, hoping to find resources that could help him craft a strategy to protect Timmy. As Jake walked, familiar streets morphed into a blur. He spotted street corners where he had seen Timmy's familiar figure before, dancing, laughing, inspiring those who stumbled by. The places that offered solace seemed to shout out for protection. At the library, he lost himself in books about advocacy, community organizing, and the rights of the homeless. Pages turned quickly, his heart racing with each realization. There were people out there ready to stand alongside him. He was not alone in this fight. With tireless energy, he jotted down notes, imagining rallying community support, contacting local media, and organizing fundraisers to help provide shelter for those without a home. Suddenly, the bright light above him flickered out, casting shadows across his notes. He looked around to find the long line of readers staring anxiously back. Was this a sign? Humor attempted to break through his tension, a fleeting thought that it was just an inconvenience, but then, his phone buzzed, breaking through the unease. It was a message from Lily's teacher, asking for a meeting. Jake's heart raced again. Was it about Lily? About Timmy? He quickly replied and agreed to see her after school. Even as uncertainty clouded his mind, he had to take every chance offered. As the afternoon wrapped around him, Jake rushed back home, his worry and anticipation intertwining. When he spotted Lily bouncing on the porch, a grin bursting on her face as she waved, his heart temporarily settled. "How was school?" Jake asked, smiling despite the turmoil inside. "Awesome. Miss Jessica is so teaching us to dance," she exclaimed, her excitement shining. A thought flickered within him: dance. Timmy always danced, a burst of pure joy that drew others in. Could that be a tool? Later, as Jake sat with Lily at the kitchen table, ready for the teacher's visit, the idea formed clearer. He would start a community dance event. It could draw people together, raise awareness about Timmy, gather support and foster joy, everything Timmy symbolized. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Jake's chest tightened again. He took a deep breath, steadied himself, and opened the door. There stood Miss Jessica, her expression serious yet warm. "Thank you for meeting with me, Jake," she began softly, and his gut tightened once more as dread washed over him. As they stepped inside, he sensed that whatever came next could change everything. He braced himself. What news would she bring about Lily, about Timmy, about the plans that felt so precarious and fragile now? With a quick nod at Lily, whose attention had shifted to her crayons, Jake steadied his voice. "What is going on?" Before she could reply, he took a deep breath, readying himself for the answers that could change the course of their fight. Would they be the answers he feared, or those he hoped for? Jake felt the air thicken in the room, every moment stretching out like an eternity. Miss Jessica's eyes conveyed sadness wrapped in a layer of urgency. She folded her hands, poised yet tense, as if grappling with her own words before she spoke. "Lily, she's doing so well in class, but I've noticed she's been increasingly distracted," she began, her voice softening. "She talks about Timmy a lot, Jake. And while that's wonderful, I think it's something deeper. She's really worried about him, and kids at this age, they can be very perceptive. Worried? About what?" Jake felt the knot in his stomach tighten further. With a gentle sigh, Miss Jessica pressed on. "She hears things. Kids don't always understand the full context, but the other day, during recess, some of her friends mentioned something they saw online about kids like Timmy. It sparked a lot of questions for her. I think it's affecting her more than she's letting on." Jake blinked, trying to process the weight of her revelation. "What can I do? I want her to feel safe and confident, but how do I explain Timmy's situation without scaring her?" "That's the challenge," Miss Jessica replied, her brow furrowed in thought. "But I think involving Lily in positive ways could help. Maybe if she sees that others care, that it's okay to feel empathy and take action, it will ease some of her worries." Jake nodded slowly, feeling both the surge of passion and the wave of doubt. "You're right. I have this idea for a community dance event to raise awareness for Timmy and others like him. Maybe if she can participate, it might spark a sense of belonging. But I worry about how to explain it all to her. Let her know it's an opportunity to help others while finding joy," Miss Jessica encouraged, her smile warm despite the gravity of the situation. Encouraging her to embrace her empathy can turn her concern into something powerful. Just then, Lily looked up from her crayons, her big eyes filled with curiosity. "What's the dance about? Can I dance too?" The question hit Jake hard. Her innocent voice, riddled with excitement, momentarily overshadowed the seriousness of their conversation. "Yes, sweetie. It's about bringing people together to have fun and help Timmy," he said, leaning down to her level. "Would you like to dance with me and help plan?" "Yes. I want to help Timmy. Lily bounced in her chair, her laughter filling the room, a beautiful sound that chased away Jake's heavy heart. Miss Jessica smiled, a glimmer of hope igniting in her eyes. That's it. With her enthusiasm and your drive, you can build something amazing. Dance has a way of uniting folks and creating connections. You're starting with the right heart. Jake felt a surge of energy course through him. Maybe he could actually do this. But as excitement flared, a voice in the back of his mind whispered of the challenges ahead. How would he get the community to rally? What if no one showed up? Just then, Jake noticed something else in Miss Jessica's gaze. You look like you have more to share, he said, sensing a deeper concern lingering behind her words. She hesitated before speaking, her tone shifting. I think it's also important to consider how Timmy feels about all this. He could be overwhelmed in a big crowd. Maybe we should include him in the planning. What if you spoke with him first? Jake's heart sank. He couldn't bring Timmy into this without knowing how he truly felt. You're right. I need to check on him. If the event is going to mean anything, it has to start with understanding what he wants. I just hope he's in a good place. Lily's small hand slipped into Jake's, squeezing tightly. Let us make it fun for him, Daddy. I'll twirl and he can join. Her innocent plea tugged at Jake's heart, igniting a flame of hope as uncertainty and excitement danced within him. As Miss Jessica departed, Jake felt both apprehensive and exhilarated. The thought of reaching out to Timmy churned in his mind. What if this dance could truly shine some light on the shadows enveloping them all? But how would Timmy respond? Would he be ready to join in this journey? The evening air felt electric with potential as Jake locked eyes with Lily, a shared determination blooming between them. They were both ready for whatever came next, but the real question lingered in Jake's mind: could a dance truly change their world? Jake's heart raced as he stood outside Timmy's apartment building, a modest structure tucked away in a bustling neighborhood. The day waned, casting shadows that tangled along the sidewalk. He took a deep breath, thinking about what he would say. Lily's enthusiasm buzzed in the back of his mind, a sweet reminder of the innocence he was hoping to protect. Okay, buddy. Just be honest, Jake whispered to himself, you've got this. He stepped into the building and made his way to Timmy's door. Knocking gently, he felt a rush of anxiety. What if Timmy didn't want to talk? What if he rejected the idea? After a moment that felt like hours, the door creaked open. Timmy stood there, and Jake's heart warmed at the sight of the boy's familiar smile, although a flicker of uncertainty flashed in his eyes. Hey, Timmy. Mind if I come in? Jake asked, trying to keep the mood light. Sure, Timmy replied, stepping aside. The dim light from a single lamp illuminated the clutter of toys and art supplies crammed into the living room. What's up? Jake took a seat on the worn couch, noting Timmy's hesitant expression. I wanted to talk to you about something important and fun. Timmy's curiosity piqued. Fun? Yeah. Remember the dance I mentioned? It's going to be a big community event to help raise awareness for kids who need support. I think you'd be a great part of it. We want to show everyone that together we can make a difference. Jake leaned forward, his voice infused with excitement. Timmy frowned, looking down at his hands. I don't know, what if I mess up? And what if people don't like me? Jake's heart sank. He could see how deeply Timmy felt the weight of expectation. Hey, no one has to be perfect. It's about having fun and supporting each other. And we'll have Lily there. She thinks you're amazing, you know? Timmy's eyes brightened slightly at the mention of Lily. She does? Absolutely. She'd love it if you joined, Jake encouraged, sensing a flicker of hope. Timmy thought for a moment, the anxious lines softening on his brow. Okay, but what if I can't dance? I've never been to one before. Jake couldn't help but smile. Neither have we, buddy. We'll learn together. And trust me, it's going to be a blast. Plus, you can help us plan it. It'll be like creating something special together. Timmy's face broke into a tentative smile. I'd like to help plan. I've got some ideas for games. Perfect. Jake felt a surge of relief and excitement. This could turn into a fun adventure, and I promise, we're all in this together. The weight in the room lifted slightly as Timmy started talking about his ideas, his voice growing steadier with each word. Jake felt a warm rush of gratitude wash over him at the sight of Timmy lighting up. Could this dance be the key to bringing them all closer? As they exchanged ideas, a sense of unity began to form. They worked out game plans, tentative dance moves, and distinct ways to involve the community. Jake could already visualize the smiles, the laughter, and most importantly, the support that every child like Timmy would feel. Let's make this special for everyone. Timmy said, a newfound excitement sparking in his tone. Absolutely, Jake agreed, feeling the connection between them deepen. Let's make it unforgettable. The evening took on a lightness, and as they wrapped up their brainstorming, Jake's heart swelled with hope. They were no longer just planning an event, they were building a bridge. But as they shared a laugh and punched in details for their plan, a sudden thought nagged in the back of Jake's mind. What if the broader community didn't see the value in it? What if everything fell flat? Jake looked at Timmy, who seemed to be thriving in the moment, and he squeezed his shoulder reassuringly. You ready to take on the world? Yeah. Timmy's enthusiasm echoed through the room, but Jake could sense an undercurrent of doubt still lingering beneath the surface. As he stood to leave, preparing him for the next steps ahead, one last thought flickered through Jake's mind. How could they convince everyone else that a dance, a movement of joy, could spark change? With each step away from Timmy's door that night, Jake felt an inexorable pull towards taking that leap. Would the community rally around their efforts? Would Timmy truly feel at home in the spotlight? The questions lingered, but Jake knew one thing for sure. He had to find out. Jake barely slept that night, his mind racing with thoughts of the dance and how it could impact not just Timmy, but their whole community. He couldn't shake the feeling that this event was more than just a fundraiser. It could be a moment of change. The next morning, the sun glimmered through his window. Jake rubbed his eyes and got up, each morning routine waking him a little more. He poured himself a cup of coffee, its warmth palpable. He grabbed his phone and scrolled through his messages, a mix of everyday chatter and reminders of the upcoming community meeting. Focus on the dance, he murmured to himself, setting his coffee down. With a clear goal in mind, he grabbed his notebook full of ideas brainstormed with Timmy the night before and headed out the door. The community center was just a few blocks away, a place that not only housed events but served as a lifeline for so many families. Upon arrival, the hum of conversation enveloped him as he entered the meeting room. Parents and local leaders gathered around the large table, excited murmurs exchanged among them. Jake caught sight of Lily already in deep conversation with a few kids, enthusiasm radiating in her laughter. It comforted him, knowing they were all in this together. When the meeting began, Jake introduced the idea of the dance. His voice arose with assurance, despite the tremor in his hands. We want to host a community dance, he said, forcing a smile. It's not just a dance, it's a way for us to unite around the kids, to make sure they know they have support. There were nods of interest but also brows furrowing in skepticism. An older woman, seated at the back, raised her hand. And what will this do for the kids? How do we know it will be worth it? Jake felt his heart quicken. I believe it can show children they matter, that they're loved, even when things are tough. We want to make it a safe space where everyone can feel included. The chatter took off again. Some parents were supportive, sharing ideas and expressing excitement. Others remained doubtful, arguing it was a nice thought but questioning if it would really resonate with those who needed it most. A child's voice piped up suddenly, drawing attention. Timmy, sitting between Lily and another friend, stood up. If people come together, it will matter. We just want to have fun and show everyone we can help each other." There was a moment of silence. Jake felt a swell of pride for Timmy, who had stepped bravely into the spotlight. Slowly, the room began to erupt with ideas. Parents offered to help with decorations, a couple of kids suggested games, and someone even volunteered to DJ. The energy was palpable. Jake's heart raced with hope. As everyone chimed in, he caught a glimpse of their camaraderie, something so deeply needed in this community. Was it really happening? Were they actually going to pull this off? Later, as the meeting adjourned, Lily approached Jake, her eyes sparkling. "I can't wait. Timmy was so brave, don't you think?" "Yeah, he was fantastic," Jake smiled, his heart full. But just as his optimism soared, doubt crept in again, whispering fears of whether they could truly pull this event together in time. Back home, he opened his notebook and stared at the page filled with ideas. So many hopes were pinned on this. This was about more than a dance, it was about teamwork, belonging, and creating change, but that night, another thought troubled him. What if they failed to truly reach those who needed it most? Jake lay awake, staring at the ceiling, anxious yet determined. Tomorrow, he would need to rally the community more than ever. Would their combined efforts really spark a transformation? Or was it just another lofty dream? Jake awoke the next morning with a renewed sense of purpose. The doubts from last night still lingered, but they were overshadowed by the warmth of hope. He quickly brewed a cup of coffee, the smell filling his kitchen, pushing him to get moving. After his morning routine, he grabbed his notebook before heading back to the community center. Each page was filled with ideas, sketches of decorations, food plans, and lists of volunteers. High on energy, he stepped into the bright morning, the sun warming his face. He envisioned a crowd at the dance, laughter echoing through the center, everyone feeling uplifted and connected. When he arrived at the center, he found it buzzing with activity. Volunteers were already setting up tables, hanging colorful streamers, and testing the sound equipment. Jake felt a surge of adrenaline rush through him. This was real, people were coming together. Lily was there, busily arranging chairs. "Hey, Jake! Look at this!" she exclaimed, her face a mask of excitement as she held up a banner that read "Together We Stand." It was clearly hand-painted by Timmy and some of his friends. "Wow, that's fantastic, Lily. It's so full of spirit." Jake grinned, his heart swelling as he took in the time and effort the kids had put into it. As he walked through the bustling room, he heard snippets of conversations, parents discussing snacks, teens brainstorming dance moves, and younger kids giggling as they played some walking games. Amidst this wave of enthusiasm, Jake couldn't help but smile. But then he caught sight of an empty corner of the room, where Timmy often hung out. Jake's smile faltered. "Where's Timmy?" he asked, looking around. Lily's expression shifted. "I saw him leave with his mom earlier. I think they were headed home." A fleeting worry brushed against Jake's heart. Timmy was so integral to this event. What if he was discouraged? What if he felt like he didn't belong? Before he could say anything else, the door swung open. In walked Mrs. Thompson, Timmy's mother, with her son in tow. Timmy high-fived Lily and smiled up at Jake, his energy igniting the room. "See? I told you I would help," he said, brimming with confidence. Jake felt relief wash over him. However, he noticed something else in Timmy's demeanor, a flickering shadow of anxiety beneath his excitement. "Lily, can you show Timmy where we need help?" Jake suggested, noting the way Timmy fidgeted with his hands. "Yes. Follow me, Timmy." Lily beamed, leading him away as Jake watched, hoping to ease whatever was on the young boy's mind. Just then, Jake's phone buzzed in his pocket, a notification from the community group chat. He quickly glanced at the message. A few parents who initially doubted the dance had started expressing enthusiasm and lending their support. It was working. The excitement was palpable. But amidst all the buzzing excitement, Jake couldn't help but feel nagging doubts creep back in. Was their effort enough? Would it truly make a difference? As the day wore on, volunteers continued to fill the community center, and the decorations started to take shape. Jake moved from group to group, helping wherever he could, trying to keep the energy up while his heart raced with anticipation. Then, as Jake stood watching the last-minute preparations, he felt a tap on his shoulder. He turned to find Timmy standing there, a hesitant look on his face. "Jake, can I talk to you?" he asked softly. Jake knelt down to Timmy's eye level. "Of course, what's on your mind?" Timmy glanced toward the crowd, his small frame trembling slightly. "What if nobody shows up? What if it doesn't go the way we hope?" Jake's heart sank. He knew that fear all too well. "You know, Timmy, it's okay to feel nervous. And even if some people don't show, we'll still make a difference for those who do. The important thing is that we're all here, supporting each other." Timmy nodded slowly, his courage flickering back to life. As the sun began to set, the center sparkled with light and laughter. The moment they had all hoped for was upon them. Would this evening finally be the catalyst for change? Would they find out what they were truly capable of as a community? Jake took a breath, watching as families began to stream in. "This is just the beginning," he whispered to himself, his mind racing with what lay ahead. But even as the music began to play, Jake felt a lingering worry tugging at his heart. What if this dance turned out to be just one flicker of joy in a sea of challenges? Jake couldn't shake the question, was it ever enough? As the first song began, he turned to Timmy, who was now confidently dancing with Lily. Could this moment really spark lasting change? Or was he just chasing another dream? The first song played, cascading through the center like a wave, and Jake felt the energy shift. Laughter floated around him as families began to fill the room. The decorations danced in the dimmed lights, casting colorful shadows. But despite the joy swirling in the air, Jake could feel the weight of his own doubts pressing down on him. "Jake!" Lily's voice pierced through the lively chatter as she pulled him back to the moment. "Look at Timmy." Jake glanced over. Timmy was out on the dance floor, throwing himself into the rhythm with an abandon that seemed to lift all the worry off his shoulders. Lily joined him, and soon, they were both twirling and laughing, joy radiating from their every move. It was infectious, even the adults couldn't help but break into smiles. Yet, just as Jake began to relax, he noticed a handful of parents lingering near the entrance, some still skeptical, arms crossed, unsure about the event. Their faces were tight, and it made the hair on the back of Jake's neck stand tall. Were they there to watch or to judge? The thought gnawed at him. "Hey, are you okay?" Lily asked, her brow furrowing as she noticed the shift in Jake's expression. "Yeah, just thinking," he replied, forcing a smile. But Jake couldn't shake his concerns. Maybe he was too naive, hoping a simple dance could heal deeper wounds. Still, he refused to allow himself to spiral into despair. He stepped back and smiled at Timmy again, who was now beaming while he danced with a younger child, spinning her around effortlessly. "Look at him go!" Someone called, drawing Jake's attention. A woman in the crowd pointed out Timmy. Others followed her gaze, and soon, smiles spread like wildfire as children mimicked his joyous moves. Jake's heart warmed. Was this it? The spark he had hoped for. As the next song began, the tempo shifted, and Jake started to move with the beat, letting it wash over him. It felt good to dance, to let the rhythm carry away his worries. But just then, he caught a glimpse of a figure standing alone by the side of the room. It was Mrs. Thompson, Timmy's mother. She watched with pride, her expression intricate, a mix of joy and anxiety. Approaching her, Jake asked, "What do you think?" "He loves this," she replied, her voice thick with emotion. "I've never seen him like this before." Jake smiled, but a nagging question resurfaced in his mind. What if Timmy's moment of joy wasn't enough? What if it faded away once the music stopped? "Mom, come dance," Timmy shouted, waving her over with a big grin. The sight pierced Jake's heart. Here was a boy, once shy and reserved, now filled with confidence, urging his mother to join in. Mrs. Thompson hesitated, but Jake gently nudged her forward. "Go ahead," he said softly, feeling the urge to support them both. "You'll never regret it." Slowly, she moved onto the floor, and the two began to dance together. Jake's chest tightened with awe. There was something sacred in that moment, a bond revealed through simple movements. He couldn't help but wonder what it must have felt like for Timmy to see his mom finally engage with him, letting the worries of the world fade away, even if just for a little while. As more families joined in, the atmosphere transformed. The center echoed with laughter and the beats of the music, but Jake's heart still fluttered with uncertainty. Was this truly the change he longed for? Was it starting to ripple out beyond just one dance? Just then, the door creaked open again, drawing his attention. A man walked in, disheveled and carrying a worn-out backpack. The music played on, people continued to dance, but Jake felt a pull towards the newcomer. Who was he? What brought him in? Jake's heart raced as he took a step toward the unfamiliar figure. Would this moment be pivotal? Would they see each other and connect, or was this dance merely a fleeting joy that left a deeper void yet unfilled? As he approached, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that tonight could change everything. It was all in the air, and he was determined to find out. The man stepped further into the room, his presence stark against the vibrant joy surrounding him. Jake could see shadows beneath his eyes, evidence of a life marked by hardship, but there was something capturing about his air, a quiet intensity that urged attention. "Hey!" Jake called out, hoping to bridge the distance. "You're welcome to join us." The man paused, surprised by the invitation. For a moment, uncertainty flickered across his face, but then he nodded slowly, taking hesitant steps towards the dance floor. Lily noticed the newcomer and nudged Jake. "What do you think his story is?" she whispered. "Not sure," Jake replied, his gaze still locked on the man. "But I want to learn." As the next tune played, Timmy hardly noticed the newcomer, lost in his own world of exuberance. But as the man approached, a little girl near him, wheelchair-bound and watching from the edge, caught his attention. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity, seeking connection in the crowd. The man stopped, blocking out the noise for just a moment as he focused on her. Jake saw the shift, the way her face lit up as she caught his gaze. It was a moment of recognition, of shared understanding. It reminded Jake of Timmy's bond with his mother just moments before. Without hesitation, the man knelt down to her level. "Would you like to dance?" His voice, although soft, held a warmth that seemed to elevate the air around them. The little girl beamed, clapping her hands in excitement. "Yes!" she exclaimed, her eyes brightening with possibilities. Jake felt his heart swell. This was the connection he had hoped to witness. He glanced back at Mrs. Thompson, who now watched the unfolding scene with tears glistening in her eyes, a mirror of the joy spreading through the room. The man carefully lifted her from her wheelchair. The girl's laughter spun together with the rhythmic melody, her arms encircling his neck as if she floated in an embrace of freedom. Their movement was a dance of its own, a blend of grace and triumph, as if each step rewritten decades of struggle. Lily's grip on Jake's arm tightened with excitement. "Look at them. They're amazing." Jake felt the energy surge, filling the room with a new kind of magic. The crowd parted, allowing space for this unexpected duo to shine. Even those parents lingering at the entrance started to soften, their crossed arms slowly unfolding as whispers of awe spread like wildfire. But amid the joy, a thought flickered in Jake's mind. For every moment of beauty, there were layers of challenge, history cloaked in silence. What had this man faced that brought him here tonight? Before he could ponder too deeply, the unmistakable sound of clapping erupted from the crowd, an unplanned surge of affection resonating with the moment. Jake's heart raced. This was the event connecting everyone, shaking loose the chains of doubt that had held them confined for so long. As the dance continued, Jake stepped back, feeling both humble and inspired. The thrill of transformation enveloped him. Was he witnessing the heart of community forming right here? Would this dance reunite even the most distant souls? Just then, as the music swelled to a crescendo and the man spun the girl expertly, he caught Jake's gaze. An unmistakable spark of recognition passed between them. In it, Jake read a question: what was left to discover? Jake's pulse quickened. He had to know the man's story. Would uncovering the truth bring even more healing, or lead to understanding heartache buried deep beneath the surface? With a determined breath, he started toward the man once again. The evening was far from over, and Jake could feel the tension of the unknown, the thrill of a revelation just waiting to be unearthed. Jake took a deep breath as he approached the man who had joined the dance. There was something magnetic about him, a spark of resilience hidden within his weariness. The crowd continued to whirl around them, laughter and joy enveloping the atmosphere, but Jake's mind was focused solely on this newfound connection. "Hey! I'm Jake," he introduced himself, extending his hand with a warm smile. "I couldn't help but notice how you lit up that little girl's face. You've got a real gift." The man looked up, a flicker of hesitation softening his guarded demeanor. "Thanks. I'm Aaron," he replied, shaking Jake's hand. "I just wanted to see what was happening here. It's a nice change. A change for the better, right?" Jake replied, glancing back at Timmy and Lily, still spinning and laughing on the dance floor. "We're trying to build a community that feels connected, especially for kids like Timmy." Aaron nodded, his eyes glistening as he watched the children dance. "It's powerful. Kids need that. You never know how much a little kindness can shift things in their lives." Jake's heart swelled at that truth. "And they give it right back, don't they?" He hesitated, then dove deeper. "What brought you here tonight? If you don't mind me asking." An almost imperceptible shadow passed over Aaron's face. "Life has been complicated. I'm trying to get back on my feet, and I've been moving around a lot. This place felt welcoming." "Hey, you've come to a good spot," Jake offered, genuinely. "We're trying to make connections, lift each other up." Aaron's expression softened, and Jake sensed the weight of his journey. "That's what I used to believe before everything changed." He glanced at the crowd again, eyes lingering on the little girl who was now playing with friends. "Even just seeing her smile, it reminds me of happier times. That's worth something." Jake took a step closer, his heart thumping with urgency. "We're planning more events like this. We want to share joy, build support. I know it's a tall order, but if you want, come to our next meeting. We can use all the help we can get." Aaron's brows lifted, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. "Really? You think I could help?" "Absolutely. Everyone has something valuable to contribute. You've already shown it tonight." The man smiled softly, and Jake felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps this could be the very connection both of them needed. Meanwhile, Timmy caught sight of Jake and rushed over, bubbling with excitement. "Did you see, Jake? Everyone is having so much fun. Even Aaron is dancing." Jake's heart soared as he watched the atmosphere shift around them. Children played without a care, parents joined in the laughter, and even those who had been hesitant were now swept away in the joy. "Yeah, I see it, Timmy," Jake said, beaming with pride. "It's just the beginning." Timmy nodded, his smile radiating innocence and belief. "I can't wait for this to happen again." The weight Jake had been carrying eased, replaced by a sense of belonging and community. As the final song began to play, he noticed Lily reaching for both Timmy and Aaron, pulling them into an embrace, the purest expression of joy he'd ever seen radiating from her glowing smile. In that moment, everything struck him: they had built something beautiful together, unhindered by fear or misunderstanding. The past could, and would, reshape what lay ahead. Jake turned toward Timmy and Aaron. Let us make this a regular thing. It doesn't have to stop here. Yes. Timmy shouted, his enthusiasm infectious. Aaron looked momentarily lost in thought, but then nodded slowly. I do like that, he replied. As the dance ended, Jake felt a warmth enveloping him, not just a promise of future events or connections, but the understanding that together, their stories tied them closer and pushed them to create a brighter community. They belonged to something larger. With his heart now open to the possibilities, Jake felt grateful for that initial moment in the park, for the joy Timmy and Lily had discovered together. The dance truly had sparked a change, igniting bonds that none of them expected. Jake met Aaron's gaze, brimming with hope for the future. Let us keep this going. We have something great to hold on to. The beauty and realization of their moment rippled through the room as families smiled, friends embraced, and friendships blossomed. This was their moment, and this was their community, and as the last notes echoed through the room, Jake felt a renewed sense of purpose. There was transformation here, a dance that led them to a deeper connection. They were on the cusp of something amazing, and he knew they had each other's backs, united in their journey forward. Now, it's your turn to be part of this journey. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change, just like this one. Leave a like right now to help fuel this journey and uplift our community. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this beautiful transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this change. It can spark hope in their lives too. This is the moment to show your support. Let us keep growing together.